So you want to learn more about environmental fieldwork? Well, you've come to the right place. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I haven't posted in 3 years. So to keep it brief, I'm a geologist and environmental geologist at an engineering firm, and I work in New York City on Long Island, and I do various projects, whether that is phase 2 investigations, which I will go into, phase 1s, which is surveying, and lead sampling, water sampling, arsenic, bacteria, some asbestos, but mainly the other sampling procedures that I talked about. So I know that school doesn't really teach you a lot about like what you actually do as an environmental geologist. I was very curious about it, but they never really talked about it. So I felt like I should make a video. There's not a lot of YouTube videos related to environmental geology, so figured why not. And so the day in the life of an environmental geologist varies based on each of the sites. So sometimes I'll go to a site that's 10 minutes away, other times I'll go to a site that's about an hour away. And it all depends where, what time of day it is, with the traffic going into the city, that sort of thing. I've gone to the NYCHA housing complexes in the city, so water quality testing for apartments and buildings that people live in, making sure that there's no Legionella disease, arsenic, lead in the water. I'm not actually, using a shovel and digging physical lead ores, but it's lead that's in drinking water. So children's centers, I've done water sampling at 5-star hotels. That's very nice when you get to do it, but for the most part, it's pretty much that. That's more of the environmental side of what I do. The more geology side of what I do is what's called a phase 2 investigation. I had no idea what the heck this was when I started. I was like, phase 2, okay. But basically, what they mean by that is you go to a site and you will be the oversight. So you oversee, you watch a team of drillers. And if in the sampling procedure, it says, okay, the drillers are going to drill at this location, let's call it SB1, they're soil boring 1. And they bring up these things called soil cores. And when they bring up the soil cores, then on your note sheet or in the actual project description, it will talk about what the specific sampling procedure is. So if they bring up the soil cores, for example, and for the first foot, you have to sample at, I don't know, let's say 30 inches. So they bring up the soil core, which is roughly about like 2 to 3 feet, maybe it's 5 feet. And then you would take a tape measure and measure to the 30 inches. And then you would take the sample at the 30 inches from that first foot. So that's really cool. There's things like that where it's more geology based. That's what I went to school for. And that is very interesting to me. I've been to some very cool sites. I've been to also some not very cool sites. So you got to keep that in mind when you're picking this as your profession. Because I know that some people, they don't like to be away from home for such a long period of time. That's something that I wanted to talk about is, depends what the project is. Some projects I'm out in the field for 2 hours, call it a day, write the report, come home. The report is like the main bit of what you're actually doing. But there's another project where some phase 2 investigations can be very tough. I was in the field for 12 hours every day, had to be there at 6 a.m. I would come back from the field to the office and be reporting on my findings, and the reporting that I had to do took such a long amount of time, just increased the amount of field work. If there was someone who was at the office who was making sure that everything was detailed and organized, then it would have been a lot easier. So yeah, there's, what else was I going to say? Another instance of, another thing that school doesn't teach you about is how to take the Foundations of Geologist exam and how you should register for it before your senior year, or actually right as you're getting close to your senior year, or you're halfway through your senior year. You should at least try to register for it, because the amount of time it takes to process and the paperwork in New York State, I'm not really sure about other states, but for New York it took me so long. I wish I had done it right away, you know. But my graduation was weird because I didn't graduate in the spring, I graduated in the summer in August, and I immediately got hired right after that. So that's why that's why it was hard for me, especially because I didn't have that summer to get ready for the FG, or the spring to get ready for the FG. I didn't have that time. But what's nice about my company is they actually pay for it. They will cover the expense of you registering for the FG exam and all the fees involved with it, so that's good. Yeah, another thing that I know some people think, well, should I go into petroleum? Should I go into the environmental, mining? There's pros and cons to every single one of those different, I guess, subfields of geology, but at the end of the day, you have to realize that it's what you're passionate about and also where you want to be. Geology, it's a lot of moving around. It's a lot of exploring the country, exploring different places, and it can be very exciting. It is extremely an exciting profession and field to get into, and I think it's very, very cool. Because I personally get bored being at an office all day, at a desk, I mean. So I like to move around. I like to be physical. I like to move. That's nice. But there's cons to it, especially if you have a boyfriend or girlfriend or a fiance that you want to come back home and see. It can be tough. It can definitely be tough. So, well, I hope this video was informative. If you have any other questions, please leave a comment down below. And I will leave a link in the description about the FG if you'd like to sign up for it, and all of the different study tips and links that I put together. I have a Discord channel that is run by the Queens College Seas Department that is very good for geology majors, so the more the merrier. Alright guys, thanks for watching the video. I'll be coming out with probably some other miscellaneous videos in the future, not regarding geology, but if you want more videos like this, or you're interested in more content related to geology, comment down below. And if you'd like to know about more of the salaries, I can also talk about that as well. I know that the starting salary I made personally was about $59,000 a year, but it got bumped up because of my experience in Iceland, which I can also post a link to that below as well, through Global Treks. So thank you guys for watching, and see you on the next one.